The galaxy's executioner challenged humanity and found its blade broken. The Vorthak had earned their title across 10,000 years of galactic dominance. They were the executioners, the final judgment for any species that dared to challenge the established order. Their obsidian ships moved like death itself through the void, and their crimson banners bore the skulls of 700 extinct civilizations. When the humans first appeared on the galactic stage, the Galactic Council had been amused. Another primitive species, barely crawling from their single star system, making demands for recognition and trade rights. The Altarians laughed behind their crystalline facades. The Zephyrians dismissed them with contempt. But the Vorthak saw opportunity. "Let us demonstrate the natural order," declared War Executor Krathavos, his forearms gesturing to the holographic display of Earth's blue marble. "These humans will serve as an example to any other upstart species." The Galactic Council chamber fell silent. When the Vorthak spoke of demonstrations, entire star systems went dark. Admiral Sarah Chen received the ultimatum while standing on the observation deck of humanity's first deep space station, Armstrong Base. The message was simple, delivered in perfect English that somehow made it more chilling. Surrender your expansion claims and submit to Vorthak oversight, or face extinction. You have one solar rotation to comply. Chen had fought in the Luna Wars, survived the Jupiter mining conflicts, and helped forge humanity's first interstellar colony ships. At 63, her hair was silver, but her spine was steel. She looked out at the stars that had called to humanity for millennia, then turned to her communications officer. "Send a reply," she said. "Tell them we'll give them our answer at the coordinates they specified." When the human fleet arrived at the designated neutral zone, the Vorthak were already waiting. 50 dreadnoughts, each the size of a small moon, arranged in perfect formation. Their hulls gleamed like black glass, and weapons arrays that had shattered worlds powered up with ominous crimson light. The human fleet looked pathetic in comparison. 30 ships, cobbled together from converted cargo haulers and mining vessels. Their hulls were patchwork affairs of different alloys and composites, bearing scars from hasty construction. To the Vorthak, they looked like prey trying to imitate predators. Krathvos opened communications with evident amusement. "Humans, you have chosen extinction. How predictable." Admiral Chen's response came calm and measured. "We've chosen to stand. There's a difference." The Vorthak attack began with contemptuous efficiency. Plasma lances that could crack continents reached across space toward the human formation. But instead of the expected slaughter, something unprecedented happened. The human ships scattered like startled fish, their movements chaotic and unpredictable. Where Vorthak doctrine demanded rigid formations and overwhelming firepower, the humans danced. Their ships spun and dove, using debris fields and asteroid clusters for cover, making targeting solutions impossible to maintain. "Cowards!" Krathvos bellowed as his weapons fired at empty space. "Stand and fight!" That's when Admiral Chen showed him what human warfare truly meant. The first human ship to die was the converted freighter New Horizon. But as Vorthak plasma tore through its hull, the crew didn't flee to escape pods. Instead, they turned their dying ship into a missile, ramming it straight into the nearest dreadnought's engine cluster. The explosion lit up space like a newborn star. The second human ship to fall was the mining vessel Iron Will. As it died, it launched every piece of mining equipment it carried, drill bits, explosive charges, metal fragments, directly into the path of advancing Vorthak ships. What should have been debris became devastating shrapnel at relativistic speeds. The Vorthak had studied human military doctrine, such as it was. They expected conventional tactics, formation fighting, the standard galactic approaches to warfare. They had not studied human history, the kamikazes at Okinawa, the last stands at Thermopylae, the desperate ingenuity of Warsaw's sewers. As the battle raged, Chen's voice cut through the tactical chatter. "Remember, people, we're not trying to win this fight. We're teaching them what it costs to fight us." The Defiance, Chen's flagship, took a direct hit that vented atmosphere from 3 decks. Instead of withdrawing, Chen ordered all power to engines and drove straight toward Krathvos's command ship. At the last moment, she pulled up, her ship's belly scraping along the dreadnought's hull as every human weapon fired point-blank into Vorthak armor. When the human nuclear missiles detonated, not against Vorthak shields, but inside their ships. After human volunteers had piloted damaged fighters through the barrier gaps, Krathvos finally understood his mistake. He had brought executioners to fight soldiers. But humans weren't soldiers in any sense the galaxy understood. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors who had turned their homeworld's harshest lessons into weapons. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it ended, both fleets were shattered. Of the 50 Vorthak dreadnoughts, only 12 remained functional. Of the 30 human ships, 3 limped away on failing engines. But the galaxy heard every transmission, watched every moment. They saw humans ramming dreadnoughts with cargo ships. They saw crews staying at their posts while their vessels burned around them. They saw Admiral Chen, her uniform torn and bloodied, standing in the wreckage of her bridge, still giving orders. Most importantly, they saw something that had never happened in 10,000 years of Vorthak dominance. They saw the executioners retreat. Krathvos's final transmission was barely a whisper. What are you? Chen's response echoed across the galaxy. We're human, and we don't know how to quit. The Vorthak never returned to human space. Within a generation, their empire began to fragment as subject species realized that the executioners could bleed. The galaxy's balance of power shifted not because humanity had won a battle, but because they had demonstrated something more powerful than victory. They had shown that some things were worth dying for, and that sometimes, dying, for them was how you truly won. Admiral Chen survived the battle and lived to see humanity's first interstellar alliance. When asked years later what she was thinking during those final moments, she smiled. I was thinking about my grandmother's stories of the London Blitz, she said. About people who kept living, kept fighting, kept hoping even when the world was burning around them. The Vorthak thought they were fighting ships and weapons. They never realized they were fighting the entire weight of human history. The galaxy learned that day that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their absolute, stubborn, magnificent refusal to accept that some fights couldn't be won.